My name's Isabella, but everyone calls me Izzy. And I want to tell you about the moment my entire world split in half. It wasn't just heartbreak. It wasn't just betrayal. It was the kind of discovery that makes you question every memory, every touch, every word of love you thought was real. Because 2 days ago, I found out my boyfriend of 4 years, the man I thought I would marry, the man I thought I'd build a family with, was gay. And not just gay. He had been using me. For 4 years, I wasn't his girlfriend. I was his cover story. You know those couples people point to and say, that's relationship goals? That's what I thought we were. I met Daniel, let's just call him that, through mutual friends at a housewarming party. He had this smile that felt warm, easy, confident without being cocky. He was attentive, he laughed at my jokes, he made me feel seen. When he asked for my number, my heart literally skipped. I still remember the flutter in my chest, like maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something big. And for a while, it really felt like it was. He was the perfect boyfriend. I don't mean good. I mean perfect. The kind of perfect that makes your family say, don't let this one go, Izzy. He's a keeper. He remembered how I liked my coffee. He'd bring me a sweater if we went out to a restaurant because he knew I always got cold. He showed up at my office with flowers, not just on anniversaries or Valentine's Day, but randomly, just because he said he was thinking of me. When I was exhausted after work, he'd have dinner waiting. When my car broke down, he spent hours fixing it himself. He made me playlists. He held me when I cried. He said all the right things about the future. Marriage. Kids. A house in the suburbs. We even went ring shopping. I can still see it, standing under the bright jewelry store lights, trying on rings while he slid one onto my finger and whispered, that one's perfect for you. And I believed him. I believed all of it. I used to think, wow, how did I get so lucky? But looking back, perfection is a performance. And Daniel, he deserved an Oscar. I should have noticed. There were signs, little cracks in the picture. Sometimes he pulled away when I got too close, emotionally or physically. Sometimes he'd joke about me being clingy when all I wanted was closeness. He had these guys' nights that didn't always add up. And every so often, I'd catch this faraway look in his eyes, like his body was there with me, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. But love makes you blind. Or maybe it makes you want to be blind. Every time a doubt crept in, I smoothed it over with excuses. He's tired. He's stressed. He's just private. I told myself not to overthink. Because why would a man so perfect, so devoted, be hiding anything? But the truth has a way of clawing to the surface. And when it finally did, it came crashing through my life like a wrecking ball. It was a Tuesday. Just a normal, random Tuesday. I got off work early and thought I'd surprise him. He had mentioned wanting to cook dinner together, and I was excited. Those little moments were my favorite. When I walked in, the apartment was quiet but the lights were on. His jacket was tossed over the couch. Everything felt normal, until it didn't. That's when I heard it. Laughter. But not just any laughter. That kind of laughter. Breathless, intimate. The kind that comes from two people tangled up in each other. My stomach dropped. My heart started pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. I followed the sound down the hall. My hand was literally shaking as I reached for the bedroom door. And then, I saw Daniel. The man I had given 4 years of my life to. And another man. Together. For a second, my brain couldn't process it. My vision blurred. My ears rang. It was like the floor had given out from under me and I was falling, falling, falling. Daniel's face went white. He jumped up, stammering, trying to say something, but I couldn't even hear the words. I felt like my body had shut down, like my soul had left, watching from somewhere above. And I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything. I just turned and walked out. My legs carried me, but inside, I was nothing but broken glass. 4 years. 4 years of memories, of promises, of love. And in one moment, it all turned to ash. You'd think walking in on your boyfriend of 4 years with another man would be the lowest point. But no. The universe apparently wanted to test how much humiliation one person can take. Because 2 hours after I left the apartment, still numb, still shaking, still trying to breathe, my phone rang. It wasn't Daniel. It was him. The guy I had just seen in my bed. At first, I didn't even recognize the number. But when I picked up, this smug, casual voice said, "Hey Izzy. So, I know you saw us, but don't freak out. Daniel's actually by. We could all just, be together." I swear, my blood turned to ice. My hands went clammy. Was he serious? Or was this some kind of twisted joke? I managed to choke out, "Are you making fun of me right now?" He laughed. Laughed. Like my pain was entertainment. Like I should be grateful he was extending me the honor of sharing Daniel. I hung up. My chest was heaving, my vision blurry from rage. I felt humiliated, small, disposable. Like I was nothing but a placeholder in my own life. In my confusion, I texted Daniel. I asked, "Are you seriously making fun of me right now? Did you tell him to call me?" His reply. Short. Cold. It wouldn't be a bad idea. That was the moment my heartbreak turned into something else. Anger. White-hot, shaking anger. He had taken 4 years of my life, my love, my trust, and he thought he could shrug it off, even suggest I should just accept it. That's when something inside me snapped. That was the line. I wasn't going to cry myself to sleep while he got away with painting himself as some poor misunderstood victim. No. He was going to feel the weight of what he'd done. Daniel's mom and I were close. She treated me like family. And I knew she deserved the truth. So I sat down, hands trembling, and typed out the hardest message I've ever written. I told her what I'd seen. That Daniel had been lying to me for 4 years. That I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. That I loved her, but I couldn't stay in contact with her for now, not while I was cutting him out of my life. I cried the whole time writing it. But when I hit send, I felt lighter. Like finally, I wasn't carrying his secret for him anymore. Her reply came quickly. Shock. Anger. And then, understanding. She said she was heartbroken for me. That she couldn't believe her son would do something so cruel. That she understood why I needed to go no contact. And then, the real explosion started. Daniel, in his infinite stupidity, decided to play the victim. He went on social media and posted this long sob story about how his parents had disowned him because he was gay. At first, people were flooding the comments with support. "Stay strong. We love you. Your parents are horrible." But then, his family started chiming in. And one by one, they told the real story. Comment after comment, "That's not why they disowned you. Don't twist this, Daniel. They didn't cut you off for being gay. They cut you off for what you did to Izzy." The sympathy dried up. Fast. His Facebook post turned into a battlefield, with his own relatives dragging him publicly. People were sharing my side of the story. Screenshots started spreading. Suddenly, everyone knew. And then it reached his co-workers. People at his job saw everything. Some of them had me on Facebook, and they messaged me, saying they were disgusted. That they had no idea he was capable of something like this. That no one at work wanted to be around him anymore. And then his friends. The same friends who always welcomed me, who joked about how Daniel had won the lottery with me. They were big on loyalty, big on monogamy. When they found out he'd been living a double life, they dropped him. No hesitation. So there he was, cut off by his parents, embarrassed online, shunned at work, abandoned by his friends. And this was just the beginning. You'd think at this point, with his family exposing him, his friends dropping him, his co-workers whispering about him, Daniel would maybe feel remorse. Maybe own up to what he did. Nope. Instead, he lashed out like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Except this tantrum wasn't just yelling or sulking, it was destruction. I had already left most of my things at the apartment we shared. I hadn't had the chance to move everything yet. And that's when he decided to get even. One night, after his mom called him and let him have it, Daniel snapped. He broke our TV, the one we had saved up for together. He took my laptop, the one I needed for work, and smashed it until it was nothing but a twisted mess of metal and glass. He pulled my clothes from the closet and slashed them with scissors, slicing through my favorite dresses like he was cutting me out of his life. And then, for some reason only his petty little brain can explain, he smashed our coffee machine. When I went back later to grab the rest of my stuff, I stood there staring at the wreckage. I couldn't even cry. I was too stunned, too exhausted. My belongings, my life reduced to rubble because he couldn't handle the consequences of his own lies. And you know the funniest part? That tantrum didn't just hurt me. It backfired on him in the worst way. His boyfriend, or whatever he was, had been there when Daniel exploded. He saw the screaming, the breaking, the pure rage. And guess what? He dumped him. Just like that. After all that sneaking around, all those lies, all the smug phone calls, the guy decided he didn't want to deal with Daniel's temper. And honestly, I almost felt a little sorry for him. Almost. Because now, Daniel was left with nothing. No girlfriend. No boyfriend. No friends. No supportive family. And co-workers who wouldn't even look at him. But me. I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Standing in that apartment, looking at my destroyed laptop, my ruined clothes, the shattered coffee machine, something inside me hardened. I had spent 4 years being his shield, his mask, his comfort zone. And then, when the truth came out, I became his punching bag. Enough. I wasn't going to let him get away with breaking me, or breaking my things. So I called a lawyer. At first, my hands were shaking. I didn't want to be that person, dragging my personal life into court. But then I thought about how easily he had dragged me into his lies, his secrets, his humiliation. And I thought, why am I protecting him? Why am I still worried about making this easier for him? No. If he wanted to destroy my things, he was going to pay for them. Literally. And when my lawyer explained how strong the case was, how much evidence we had, from photos of the damage to texts proving his temper, I felt this strange sense of power rising in me. For the first time since this nightmare started, I wasn't just reacting. I was fighting back. I'll never forget the day he got served. He tried to act calm, tried to roll his eyes like it was no big deal. But I saw the way his jaw clenched, the way his hands fidgeted. He wasn't in control anymore. The man who had lied, cheated, manipulated, and destroyed, was finally facing consequences he couldn't lie his way out of. And deep down, I think he knew it. From then on, every time he saw me, he tried to play this game. He'd switch between acting cold like I was irrelevant to suddenly texting me these fake apologies. Can we just talk? Do you really want to drag this through court? And every time, I ignored him. Because I had finally realized something. Daniel didn't want to fix things. He didn't want to apologize. He just wanted control back. And I wasn't giving it to him. I thought I'd be terrified walking into court. And at first, I was. My palms were sweaty, my heart pounding like it wanted to escape my chest. But then, I saw him. Daniel looked awful. Hollow eyes, slumped shoulders, this permanent scowl like the world had betrayed him. He wasn't the polished, charming man everyone once admired. He looked small. And suddenly, the fear left me. Because for once, the truth was on my side. My lawyer laid everything out, the smashed laptop, the ruined clothes, the destroyed coffee machine. Photos. Receipts. Even text messages where Daniel admitted to losing control. He tried to defend himself, of course. He put on his victim act, claiming he was under emotional stress, that I was making things worse by suing him. But every word just dug him deeper. The judge wasn't buying it. Nobody was buying it. When the ruling came down, when the judge ordered him to pay for the damages and court fees, I felt this rush of relief, like a 1,000-pound weight had been lifted off me. For once, it wasn't me suffering for his actions. It was him. After the case, I started hearing more and more about how his life was unraveling. He couldn't keep up with rent on the apartment alone. His paycheck was stretched thin, and with the court order on top of it, he was drowning. He ended up having to move out, downsizing into a dingy little place far from work. At his job, things weren't better. His co-workers kept their distance. People whispered. Opportunities passed him by because no one trusted him anymore. He wasn't fired, But he might as well have been invisible. And his friends? Gone. They wanted nothing to do with him. The guy who once bragged about being everyone's favorite was now eating lunch alone, scrolling on his phone like it could replace the human connections he burned. Even his family kept him at arm's length. They hadn't cut him off completely, but they weren't rushing to invite him to dinners or holidays either. He lost everything. And he had no one to blame but himself. As for me, I won't lie and say it was easy. Healing never is. There were nights I cried until I couldn't breathe. Days where I second-guessed myself, wondering if I had done something wrong, if I hadn't been enough. But slowly, I rebuilt. I poured my energy into friends who lifted me up. Into my family, who reminded me daily that I was loved, valued, and stronger than I realized. I went back to hobbies I had abandoned during those 4 years. Painting. Running. Cooking meals for myself, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And piece by piece, I started to feel like Izzy again. Not Daniel's girlfriend. Not Daniel's cover story. Just me. And for the first time in years, that was enough. You know what still blows my mind? The fact that he thought he could get away with it. That he thought using me, lying to me, humiliating me would never catch up to him. But the truth is, lies have a way of unraveling. You can only juggle them for so long before they come crashing down. And when they did for Daniel, they crushed him. I don't hate him for being gay. I never did. I hate him for stealing 4 years of my life, for using me as a mask, for thinking I didn't deserve honesty. But here's the thing, he lost everything. And I gained something he never will. Freedom. Peace. And the strength to know that no matter how badly someone tries to break me, I will rise again. So if you take anything from my story, let it be this: don't ignore the cracks. Don't silence your gut when it tells you something's off. And don't ever let someone convince you that you don't deserve honesty, loyalty, respect. Because you do. And sometimes, karma doesn't need your help. It'll handle the heavy lifting. All you have to do is step back and watch the fire burn. If my story gave you chills, hit that like button and tell me in the comments what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Because trust me, I've got more to tell. And you won't want to miss them.